I said was totally appropriate. And if you look at what other people have said, politicians at a high level, about the riots during the summer, the horrible riots in Portland and Seattle and various other places, that was a real problem, what they said.
Well, that is Donald Trump's first public statement, in response to some of the details that we're now learning about the insurrectionists that rioted in the Capitol building. He is deciding to deflect from his own responsibility in inciting the violence that took place. And instead, he's focusing his energy on condemning and persecuting Black Lives Matter protesters over the summer. But let me just remind you all that in regard to the civil unrest we experienced over the summer, there were no reports of police actually helping anyone engage in criminality other than right-wing extremists. You didn't have the high volume of deaths that you experienced in the Capitol. In one day, 5 people died during the Capitol Hill riots. Also, pipe bombs were found. These rioters decided to plant pipe bombs near the RNC and the DNC. And then, of course, let's not forget that the whole point of the Black Lives Matter protest was to change policing in this country so it isn't riddled with brutality toward very specific communities throughout America. When it came to the insurrectionists, they were insurrectionists. Like, they wanted to throw out our democratic process just to ensure that someone like Donald Trump remains in power. So to deflect from what actually happened last week, to focus on Black Lives Matter, to even try to draw these equivalencies is absolutely pathetic. But House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy argues that no. Trump actually does take a little bit of responsibility. According to The Hill, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy told GOP lawmakers on a conference call that Trump told him privately that he takes some responsibility for inciting the riots. Trump has not done so publicly, and to be quite honest with you, I don't believe what Kevin McCarthy is saying here.
Yeah.
Trump also. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just jump in on that real quick. So there's been mixed reporting on that. So now most of the reporters are saying that McCarthy actually told the other Republicans that he thinks Trump had a role in inciting the violence, not that Trump admitted it to him. And in fact, Trump has of course never said that publicly, disavowed it, and he said his words were totally appropriate, as you guys know. And then on top of that, Trump is apparently miffed that he did that video saying that there would be a orderly transition to a new administration the day after the riot. He's mad that they convinced him to do that. He thinks that made him look weak by saying that there would be a peaceful transition.
No, I mean, it's the fact that Mike Pence is refusing to invoke the 25th Amendment. I mean, even in this late date. And it's also incredibly frustrating that you have people in Trump's cabinet stepping down from the administration when in reality, they might appear like they're taking a bold stance here, but they're not. They're doing the exact opposite. They would have been far more effective if they remained in the administration and had the courage to invoke the 25th Amendment and get this insane person out of the White House, especially considering how unstable everything is with him in a position of power. But we don't know what he's gonna do. Clearly, he doesn't think what happened in the Capitol was a big deal. In fact, it seems like he's actually pretty supportive of it and refuses to take any personal responsibility for the damage that was done on that day, not just to property, but more importantly to our democracy. It's insane. He needs to be out immediately. I know that there's a little over a week left, but that doesn't matter. I wish these Trump cabinet members just had the courage to do the right thing. But I mean, they've stuck by his side, so I guess it's naive to even think they do that.
Well, I think the Pence example is an amazing one. So I want you guys to know the details because they're really quite horrific. So apparently Pence decided to stay in the Capitol. Secret Service was trying to usher him out of the building. And I don't know if it was because he was worried about leaving the building and running into those folks, or if he was making it a point of principle to stay with the rest of the Congress people in the Capitol. But he was in there, and there's no question that some of the people in the riot were coming to specifically murder Mike Pence. There's the video of dozens of people chanting as they're breaking the door down. They're chanting, "Hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence." There's guys with zip ties and nooses. So they're coming to kill Donald Trump's own vice president. And at the time, people are calling into Donald Trump, Kellyanne Conway, Ivanka Trump. They're calling Jared Kushner to call Donald Trump to get people to back out so that nobody gets hurt, including his own vice president. And he would not do it. And now this is one more thing that's stunning about this. He never called Mike Pence was in the building. It took 6 hours to clear the building, and Mike Pence was in there through all the violence. He never once called Mike Pence to see if he was okay. He rage tweeted about him in the middle of the riot, saying that it was his fault and he wasn't brave enough to have the real electors be seated, not the fake electors of Biden. He did it at 2:24 when the building had already been breached for about 20 minutes. And apparently, since all this went down, he's never called Mike Pence to see if he was okay. No,
of course he hasn't. Of course he hasn't. Why are you surprised? Why are you surprised? In his speech, he encouraged his supporters to hold Pence accountable for agreeing to certify the Electoral College votes. But I also want to remind you all of what he said during this so-called Stop the Steal rally, which happened right before these insurrectionists stormed the Capitol building. He breached it and then proceeded to wreak havoc there. Let's take a look at what he said.
And we fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not gonna have a country anymore. We're going to try and give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help. We're going to try and give them the kind of pride, boldness that they need to take back our country. So let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I wanna thank you all.
And at the same event, of course, you had Republican Representative Paul Gosar echoing similar messaging, encouraging people to do what they did, and everyone needs to be held accountable for that. Again, because if you don't do that, it just further emboldens these Republican lawmakers. I mean, they have, of course, engaged in so many different stunts, and at this point, where they have willy-nilly put other people's lives in danger. If there aren't consequences for it, who knows how far they're gonna go in the future. Also, Trump followed all of this with more threats in regard to what the House is trying to do in impeaching Donald Trump for the second time, which by the way, he'd be the first president to be impeached twice. Trump, who spoke to reporters at the White House before leaving Washington for a trip to Texas on Tuesday, to tour sections of the border wall. He said that impeachment would be a continuation of the greatest witch hunt in the history of politics and accused Democrats of endangering the country in moving forward with it. By the way, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is said to be supportive of the impeachment efforts. But here is a direct statement. He says that this impeachment is causing tremendous anger. For Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to continue on this path, I think it's causing tremendous danger to our country and it's causing tremendous anger. And then of course he followed it with, I want no violence for plausible deniability. But you know what he's doing there. That's the way he messages to his supporters to engage in the violent behavior that we experienced last week.
Yeah, look, last two things here. Number one, it's one thing if you engage in that kind of rhetoric about fight like hell and go down Pennsylvania Avenue beforehand, and then you saw what happened and you were remorseful. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't mean that. No, don't break into the building. No, don't kill people. That's, what do you guys know? That's crazy, right? It's another thing for you to talk like that, and then violence breaks out and 5 people die, including a police officer. And you're still talking about, well, opposing me could be dangerous and it would make a lot of people angry. He has no remorse at all. In fact, in the video he was forced to do in the middle of that day, he said that they were very special people, the rioters, and that he loved them. And in a tweet, so they're look, guys, think about it this way. They're asking Trump to send in the National Guard to protect the lives of Democratic and Republican Congresspeople and his own vice president. To this day, no one knows who gave the order because Trump apparently did not. He did not want the National Guard to protect their lives. Amazing, amazing. Then they asked him to do that video, and he was very reluctant to do the video where he was going to tell them, now remember, stay peaceful. Why is he reluctant? Everyone acknowledges he was reluctant. Why is he reluctant to say something as simple as stay peaceful? But that leads to the last part. They wanted him to put out a tweet. And the thing that he fought the most on was the very last 2 words in the tweet, which were literally stay peaceful. He didn't want to tweet it, and he had to be convinced by his entire staff to write that in. It's super clear. He liked the violence. He liked that those people were fighting like hell for him, and that they were threatening the lives of others because he thought that gives me leverage, that gives me more power. Because to him, there is no shame. Democracy is irrelevant, America is irrelevant, the lives of other people are irrelevant. The only thing that matters is how much power do I have? That's the kind of psychopath that's the president right now.
And I have to leave you guys with this one statement from a Trump advisor who was asked why Trump was unwilling to do anything when he had people close to him, people in his administration, even Kellyanne Conway urging him to do something as this violence had broken out. And his advisor told the Washington Post, quote, he was hard to reach, and you know why? Because it was live TV. If it was TiVo or if it's TiVo, he just hits pause and takes the calls. If it's live TV, he watches it. And he was just watching it all unfold. Just imagine the president of the United States standing there or sitting there, watching the insurrectionists breach the Capitol, watching them engage in acts of violence, seeing the images of these right-wing extremists holding flexi cuffs. And you can't get him away from the television to do the right thing, to lead. I mean, he's not much of a leader, but to at least in this case, call for an end to the violence. You couldn't get him to do it because he was enamored with what he was seeing on television. It's just absolutely horrendous, disgusting behavior. And that's who Donald Trump is.
Yeah, you remember that picture of the drawn guns holding the door of the house? Who sees that and thinks, oh, there's no danger here? No, he saw it. He was watching live TV. He saw there was enormous danger to the lives of those other legislators, and he purposely didn't make the call to get them to safety. That's who Donald Trump is.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.